Welcome back to Golden Blue Dude, everybody, and man, do I love this channel. We hit 5,000 subscribers, y'all already know that, and y'all already know that we have a goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We can do it, but we can't do it without your help, so please hit the like and subscribe button to get more of my content, and hey, if you just want to trash talk me, there's another reason to hit the like and subscribe button. And of course, we've overhauled the Patreon page, so there's a wider variety of things to choose from. If you just want a smidge of Golden Blue Dude, we have the $2 package, and then for the people that want the total Golden Blue Dude experience, we had the $50 package. So go check that out when you get a chance. And I thought of something yesterday. I think that it's time to let the world know who we are, who Golden Blue Dude is. Because Golden Blue Dude isn't me. I'm just the voice in the face. You guys are Golden Blue Dude. So I left a message in the community and I've been spreading the word. What I want y'all to do, if you're watching this video, make a short video clip and all you have to say is, I am Golden Blue Dude. Or you can do a family video and say, we are Golden Blue Dude, and then send it to my email address at refssuk@gmail.com. I will leave that email address in the description of this video. So I want to get as many people as possible to send me just a short clip, and I'm going to make a mashup video, and I think it's going to be awesome. All right, on to today's video. And yesterday, I ranked the schedules of the Big 12. Today, I decided to rank the videos of the SEC. Now, keep in mind, even if you place 14th, which is the easiest, that doesn't mean you have an easy schedule. This is the SEC. This was difficult to rank. So even the teams that place lower have difficult schedules. The criteria that I used. The road slate, because let's face it, it's more difficult to win on the road. The out-of-conference schedule, and looking at the records of the teams that they play from last year, because we don't know what they're going to do this year so far. So all we can do is go by last year. All right, coming in at number 14, dead last, the easiest. Tough schedule, but in the SEC, it's the easiest schedule. That's going to be Kentucky. They finished the season 10-3. With this schedule, they're set to remain second place in the SEC East. This is a favorable schedule for an SEC team. All right, so for their home games, Kentucky has Miami of Ohio out of the MAC. They went 7-6 last year. Youngstown State is their FCS opponent. Northern Illinois out of the MAC, who went 9-5 last year. South Carolina 7-6. Mississippi State 7-6. Vanderbilt 2-10. Georgia 14-1. And Louisville 6-7. Their road slate, they just have 4 road games, and they're not all that difficult. There's a few tough ones in there. On the road to Florida, who finished 6-7 last year. On the road to Ole Miss, they went 10-3. On the road to Tennessee 7-6. On the road to Missouri 6-7. So even though there's only 4 road games, it's difficult. Coming in at number 13, Georgia. So Georgia's schedule sets up to where they're probably going to win the East again. They actually have 2 neutral games. Their first one is against Oregon, but that's in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, which is in Atlanta, so that's going to be a tremendous home field advantage for Georgia. Oregon went 10-4. I don't expect Oregon to be all that great. Easy win probably for Georgia. And they also get Florida in that neutral game every year, and Florida went 6-7 last year. Now, for their home slate, they get FCS Samford, Kent State, who went 7-7 last year, Auburn 6-7, Vanderbilt 2-10, Tennessee 7-6, and Georgia Tech 3-9. Here's their road slate, just a little bit more difficult than Kentucky. They get South Carolina on the road. South Carolina was 7-6. I think South Carolina will be a much improved team. And that's the team who I'm looking at to possibly challenge Kentucky for that second spot. They get Missouri on the road, 6-7. Mississippi State, 7-6. That could be tricky. And then, of course, Kentucky, who finished season 10-3. That's going to be a difficult road game. On to number 12. And number 12 is going to be out of the SEC West. Our first SEC West team. And that's going to be Ole Miss. They finished season 10-3 last year. Here's their home slate. They get Troy out of the Sun Belt, who finished 5-7. Their FCS opponent, Central Arkansas. Tulsa out of the AAC, who finished 7-6. Kentucky, who finished 10-3. Auburn, who finished 6-7. Alabama, they get them at home. Alabama finished season 13-2. And, of course, Mississippi State, the Egg Bowl. They finished the season 7-6. Now, on to their road slate. They go on the road and play Georgia Tech. That's a weird one, and Georgia Tech isn't very good. 3-9. They go on the road to Vanderbilt. Of course, that's not difficult at all. Vanderbilt 2-10. On the road to LSU, could be tricky, 6-7. On the road to Texas A&M, Kyle Field, home of the 12th man, 8-4 they went last year. And then, of course, Arkansas, who went 9-4. That's a difficult road schedule, but not as difficult as some of the teams above Ole Miss. Number 11 on this list, back to the SEC East. Missouri, they finished the season 6-7. Here's their home slate. Louisiana Tech out of Conference USA finished season 3-9. Abilene Christian, their FCS opponent. Georgia, they get the Bulldogs at home. Georgia went 14-1, national champs, of course. Vanderbilt 2-10. Kentucky, who went 10-3 last year. New Mexico State out of the independent circuit. And then, of course, Arkansas at home. Arkansas went 9-4. Now, their road slate, kind of difficult. This is a tricky road slate. They go on the road to Kansas State out of the Big 12, who finished 8-5. On the road to Auburn, who finished 6-7. On the road to Florida, who's 6-7 last year. South Carolina on the road, 7-6. Watch out for the Gamecocks. And then Tennessee on the road. They also finished season 7-6. Coming in at number 10, Florida. They finished the season 6-7 last year. Of course, they get that neutral game against Georgia like they do every year. Georgia finished season 14-1. Their home slate, they get Utah. That could be tricky. Utah finished season 10-4. Pac-12 champs. They get USF, who's a terrible team. They went 2-10. Eastern Washington is their FCS opponent. Missouri at home, 6-7. LSU at home, 6-7. South Carolina at home, 7-6. And Kentucky, who finished season 10-3. Now their road slate. Only 4 games on the road, but it packs a punch. They have to go on the road to Tennessee. They finished season 7-6. They have to go on the road to Texas A&M. Kyle Field, home of the 12th man, 8-4 last year. On the road to Vanderbilt, not really worried about that. They went 2-10. And then on the road to Florida State, who finished season 5-7. Florida could be lower on this list, but that neutral game against Georgia bumped them up. Number 9 on this list, Tennessee. They finished the season 7-6. Here's their home slate. They get Ball State out of the MAC. They went 6-7 last year. Akron out of the MAC, who went 2-10 last year. Florida, who went 6-7. Alabama, who went 13-2, so they get the Bama boys at home. UT Martin is the FCS team they play. Kentucky, they get them at home, 10-3. And Missouri, who went 6-7. Road trips, these are going to be difficult. First, they start out on the road against Pitt, who went 11-3 and beat Tennessee last year. They go on the road to LSU, the other Death Valley, who went 6-7. On the road to Georgia, national champs. South Carolina, who's on the rise, they finished 7-6, and then Vanderbilt, not worried about them, they finished season 2-10. Tricky road slate for Tennessee. Number 8 on this list, and we're going back to the SEC West, and that's LSU. They finished the season 6-7 last year. They do get a neutral site game against Florida State, but it's in the Superdome, so that's basically going to be a home game for LSU. Here are their home games. Southern is their FCS opponent. They get Mississippi State at home, 7-6. New Mexico out of the Mountain West, 3-9. Tennessee, who went 7-6. Ole Miss, they get the Rebels at home, who went 10-3 last year. Alabama, the Tide comes into Death Valley. Alabama finished 13-2. And then UAB, that's a tricky game right there. UAB is better than people realize, but it's at home. They went 9-4 last year. Here's their road slate. Only 4 games, but this one packs a punch too. First up, Auburn. They went 6-7 last year. Florida, 6-7 last year. Arkansas, who finished 9-4. And Texas A&M, Kyle Field, home of the 12th man, they went 8-4. So LSU, a tricky schedule, but definitely not one of the hardest schedules. Number 7 on this list, Alabama. They finished the season 11-2. Hey, the big thing for Alabama is they don't have to play themselves, so automatically that's going to lower difficulty of their schedule in the SEC. Here is their home slate. Right off the bat, they do get the Mountain West champs, Utah State, who went 11-3. UL Monroe out of the Sun Belt, a lowly 4-8. Vanderbilt out of the East, who went 2-10. Texas A&M, revenge game, they went 8-4. Mississippi State went 7-6. Austin Peay is their FCS opponent. And then Auburn, who went 6-7 last year. Road slate. This is a tough one, guys. This is tough. They go on the road to Texas, who finished season 5-7. On the road to Arkansas, who's up and coming. They went 9-4. Tennessee, who went 7-6. The other Death Valley, LSU, who went 6-7. And then, of course, Ole Miss on the road. They went 10-3. That's probably Alabama's biggest chance of getting upset, and that's against Ole Miss. Number 6 on this list, Texas A&M. They went 8-4 last year. Here are their home games. They get Sam Houston, that's their FCS opponent. Appalachian State out of the Sun Belt, who went 10-4. Miami of Florida, the Hurricanes, they went 7-5 last year. Arkansas, who went 9-4. Ole Miss, they get the Rebels at home, 10-3. Florida at home, who went 6-7. UMass, the independent bottom of the barrel team, they went 1-11 last year. And then, of course, LSU, who went 6-7. Only 4 road games, but don't let that deceive you. First, they get Mississippi State on the road. They went 7-6. Alabama. And Alabama will be looking for revenge. Alabama went 13-2. South Carolina, they're up and coming, 7-6. And then, of course, Auburn. Jordan Hare, always tough to win at. They went 6-7 last year. All right, here are the 5 toughest schedules in the SEC in my opinion. Number 5 on this list, South Carolina. They went 7-6. I do think the Gamecocks are on the rise, but this schedule makes it difficult. Here's their home slate. They get Georgia State out of the Sun Belt. They went 8-5. They do get Georgia at home, who went 14-1, national champs. Charlotte out of Conference USA. They went 5-7. South Carolina State is their FCS opponent. Texas A&M at home 8-4, Missouri at home 6-7, and Tennessee at home 7-6. It's the road slate that bumps them up on this list. Listen to this. On the road, they have to go on the road to Arkansas. They went 9-4. They have to go on the road to Kentucky, who finished the season 10-3. Vanderbilt, but they're not a threat. They went 2-10. Florida, that could be tricky, 6-7. And Clemson, they have to go to Clemson this year, and Clemson finished 10-3. That is a tough road slate for South Carolina. All right, time for number 4, and that's going to be Arkansas, the Razorbacks. They finished season 9-4. Here's their home slate. They get Cincinnati at home. Cincinnati finished 13-1. They got to the playoffs, but I'm not as high on Cincinnati this year. They also get South Carolina at home 7-6. Missouri State is their FCS opponent. They do get Alabama at home, who went 13-2. Liberty, one of the best independents right now, 8-5. LSU 6-7, and Ole Miss, who went 10-3. But check out this road slate. This is rough, guys. They have to go on the road to Texas A&M, Kyle Field, home of the 12th man, went 8-4 last year. On the road to Mississippi State, 7-6. On the road to BYU. That is a very difficult place to win. BYU went 10-3. On the road to Auburn, 6-7. And on the road to Missouri, 6-7. So the combination of quantity and quality makes that a tough road slate. Number 3, the third toughest schedule in the SEC. And that's going to be Mississippi State. They finished the season 7-6. Here's their home slate. They get Memphis out of the AAC, 6-6. Bowling Green State out of the MAC, 4-8. Texas A&M 8-4, Arkansas 9-4, Auburn 6-7, Georgia, they do get the Bulldogs at home, 14-1 national champs, and East Tennessee State is their FCS opponent. But man, this road slate is tough. They have to go on the road to Arizona. That's not tough. Arizona is terrible, 1-11. On the road to the other Death Valley, LSU 6-7 last year. On the road to Kentucky, they finished season 10-3. On the road to Alabama, 13-2. Dang near impossible to win at Bryant-Denny. And then on the road to Ole Miss, they finished season 10-3. Yikes, that's a tough road slate right there. Coming in at number 2, the second toughest schedule in the SEC. That's going to be Vanderbilt. They finished season 2-10, and of course Vanderbilt can't play themselves, so automatically they're behind the 8 ball. Here's their home slate. First, their FCS opponent Elon. Wake Forest from the ACC, they went 11-3, runners-up. Ole Miss, who went 10-3. South Carolina, who went 7-6. Florida, who went 6-7, and Tennessee, who went 7-6. Here's their road slate. I don't see them winning one stinking game. They get Hawaii out of the Mountain West, which not a tough team, but that's a long road trip. They went 6-7 last year. Northern Illinois out of the MAC, but one of the better teams out of the MAC, 9-5. Alabama on the road, 13-2. Georgia on the road, 14-1, national champs. Missouri on the road, 6-7, and then finishing things off with Kentucky, who finished the season 10-3. That right there is a brutal road slate. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But there is a schedule that is worse than that. The number 1 toughest schedule in the SEC belongs to Auburn. They finished the season 6-7. First, their home slate. Mercer is their FCS opponent. San Jose State out of the Mountain West, 5-7. Penn State out of the Big Ten. That might be a revenge matchup right there, 7-6. Missouri, who went 6-7. LSU, who went 6-7. Arkansas, who went 9-4. Texas A&M, who went 8-4. And then Western Kentucky out of Conference USA, who went 9-5. Only 4 road trips. But my gosh, this is the worst road slate of them all. This is absolutely brutal. The first one is against Georgia, 14-1 national champs. Tough road game. After that, Ole Miss went 10-3. Tough road game. After that, Mississippi State and Mike Leach with that air raid offense. They went 7-6. That's a tough road game. And finally, Alabama, the Iron Bowl. They went 13-2 last year. That's about the toughest road slate anybody could actually come up with. The only thing that maybe you could substitute is Mississippi State with Texas A&M or Mississippi State with Kentucky. I don't know. That's a tough road slate. And that is why I have Auburn as the number 1 toughest schedule in the SEC. Y'all let me know in the comments section, where did I get it right and where did I get it wrong? That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.